Hello and welcome to the Two Dizzy Dames. So tonight we're going to do something a little bit different than what we've done so far. We're going to talk about a personal ghost story, something that Lisa kind of lived through. So we are going to be talking about an event that happened at the Penrose Hospital in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I'm going to bring Lisa in and we're going to start to hear about her experience. And I cannot wait because I absolutely love ghost stories and ghosts. So I'm excited to hear this story. Let's get into it.
Okay, so it was in the 2000s. I can't remember what year. I'm old. I don't know. I was in my 20s or something, and I had a friend of mine, and they worked in the security office late at night of this hospital, and it was really cool. And it was in Colorado Springs, and it was Penrose Hospital. Uh, so I worked late nights at a club. Okay, so I got off work at like what 3, 4 in the morning or something. And since this person was the only person that was up at that time, I would go to the drive-thru at McDonald's and I picked them up some lunch. So or dinner, I guess. So when I'm going through the thing and I got, I got my friends some dinner, they were like, hey, do you want to tour the place? And I was like, yeah. So we were eating like cheeseburgers and stuff in the office though, we're like finishing up, and that's when he asked me if I want to take a tour. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds like amazing, that sounds cool. And I'm like, what? I don't know how exciting a hospital is going to be, but he did tell me, he was like, well, actually there's a woman that's coming in, there's a company, and I don't remember the name. It's some nonprofit organization that like takes some organs for people for donations. And he's like, this person's going to be coming to the morgue and I got to let him in, and they're gonna collect something, and we can go down there and check it out. And I was like, what?
How ominous. They're going to collect something from the morgue.
Like collect, yeah, like some tissues, some samples, or something. And I didn't know what it was. And I was like, yeah, I could check that out. So we finish up, we're eating, and I think I was like still munching on some fries or something. And we had like some cheeseburgers, and then we go down there, and it was kind of like surreal. Like we're walking down there and I see the plaque in the basement, because we took the elevator, and I think most hospitals the morgue is in the basement. And so we took the elevator all the way down. It was like some freight elevator, and then there it was on the plaque, it said morgue, and I'm like, oh my god, this is it, this is like in the movies. And it was like a regular doctor's office looking place. It was like a separate room with a stretcher, like a thing. It didn't look anything like crazy, but it's kind of neat because this woman was there, and she was like getting something ready, and she had a face mask on, and I never saw her face. She had really pretty eyes though. So she asked us if we wanted to watch, and I said, well, what are we watching today? What's going to happen? And she said, well, we have a 50-year-old male who died of pancreatic cancer, and he donated his eyes to science. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was jaundiced. So his eyes were all yellow, which was kind of crazy. And oh my god, it was weird. I watched this lady like take eyeballs out of a head. It was like, I don't know, man. And
Yeah.
it was crazy. And then so she had this thing, right? She had this like tool, and she disconnected everything and like took them out, and she put them in these vials, like left eye and right eye, like where you put contacts in or something. It's crazy, but they were tall and thin, like a prescription jar kind of, with labels on them. And then I remember she took beige caps that are like almond, like shape of an eye. Now, even though funeral homes do this too, they'll put it under the eyelid and it's got little bumps on it to make the eyelid stay closed. I don't know if you could picture it. It's like a fake eye. It's like a fake eye cover, but they're plastic, and they're little almond shaped plastic things, and they go under your eye, and they've got little bumps on them so that she could put them in there, and it looks like there's an eyeball in there, so they don't
That's
sink in.
crazy. I never even would have thought that was a thing.
Right? I had no idea either. And it was like really cool. And so we were kind of still eating like a little bit. I think I just finished up right when I walked in the room. And you know what? It didn't bother me. I wasn't grossed out. I found it really fascinating. I was like, this is cool. This was really cool. And then
did you ask the question, just curiously, like what the science was that they were going to use it for? If it's like, was it to try and figure out why jaundice affects the eyes? Like,
I don't
did
know.
you ask
I didn't
questions?
ask.
Oh, okay. I would have been asking all
remember.
kinds of questions.
I know. I was like, so like, I can't believe I just saw this, And so she was really sweet, and she explained like her organization. I don't remember what it was because it was like 20 years ago. But so we leave, and after that, he gave me continued the tour of the basement. And next to that, so that room that we were in wasn't the official morgue room. It was like just like a little extra room that they had for them to do stuff like that, I guess, like just like a setup with
Mm.
like the metal tray that they sit on. So the other room next to it was the actual like medical examiner's office that we went in,
Okay.
like workroom that they did, where like you see like on movies and TV where they have like the metal bed that looked like a sink, a shallow sink kind of. You know what I'm talking about? And they have the
Yeah.
headrest for the body. So there was that in there. There was a big like how the restaurant sinks like when you work at like when we worked in the bakery, they have the big deep sinks
Right.
to wash the dishes. They had that in there, which and then they had the scale, the way the brain and the heart. It was everything was in there. It was like I could not believe I was in this room. It was like insane. So he showed me a big cabinet that had like it was like a pantry cabinet, kind of like the wooden white one you get at like the store, like at IKEA or something. And
Hmm.
in it was huge. It had intestinal tract and formaldehyde. It had somebody. They had a brain and like a deep bucket, and it had strings out of the bucket. And he pulled the lid off, and he showed me the brain, the
Whoa.
human brain. It was huge. I had no idea how big the human brain was. It was like kind of awesome. And I think there was a heart in there, and there was a refrigerator. I swear to God, this is like all true as I saw. There was a refrigerator in that room, not a cooler like that, like a big restaurant size cooler, but a
Yeah.
refrigerator, like the kitchen thing with the top and the bottom. And we opened it, and there was like somebody's arm or leg was in there or something. And apparently, there was a patient who had just gotten stabbed and lost their arm, and they had it in there temporarily until they can like get it back in the OR or something. I don't know. It was like crazy. And yeah, he showed me that room, and it was really, really fascinating. And then there were the drawers where some bodies were stored. But that was there weren't any bodies in the drawers because that had been the old morgue at the time. So that ended up being the medical examiner's place to do business, to do his work in. So the actual cooler where the bodies were stored was somewhere else that I didn't see. But I did see that medical examiner's like big room to work in. And then that guy's eyes get taken out. And then he took me continuous to a tour of this hallway in the basement with a furnace or something. We winded all through that hospital. And near the furnace, it was weird. It was like it felt a little creepy, but not a whole lot to me. But he said that well, no, actually we didn't check that room out. He took me immediately to the library. This is okay. So this is the part. So before he showed me the furnace, we went up and down a lot. Okay. I'm like all over the place because it was like 20 years ago when I was all over this hospital. My memory is bad because I'm like in my 40s now. So what happened was he took me upstairs. We went to the seventh floor, straight up to the seventh floor. And up there it was a floor they didn't use very often. And it had like stretchers on the side and a folded up wheelchairs, and it just looked really creepy. The lights were flickering like in a horror movie, but it didn't feel creepy. I didn't feel scared. I was like telling myself too, I'm like, should I be freaked out right now? Because this place looks like it came out of a horror movie, but it didn't. And he took me all through it, and we walked back and forth. And he's like, "Yeah, this is the room where we just don't use. It's just this whole floor we don't use."
Was that the part of
And
the old hospital or the new hospital?
a new hospital. It looked new to me, the whole hospital.
Okay.
And so the upstairs just looked like they just didn't use it. And you could even see a big giant counter where like the nurse's station would have been.
Uh-huh.
It
Okay.
looked creepy. It was weird. So after that, he took me completely downstairs. I don't know if it was like the first or second floor to the staff library that for the doctors and the nurses to use in case they're stumped. Because actually, you know what? Thinking about this now, it was like the internet was there, but it wasn't like as big as it is today. So they had this library, I think, when they had to look up illnesses or something. So because it
Right. It
was like a
happens
long
a
time
lot
ago.
from the education I've gotten from Grey's Anatomy.
Oh
They do
yeah.
use those types of
So
libraries a lot.
I don't know. Well, so it was a modern library, and it didn't look creepy. It looked like a normal fucking library to me. And
Hmm.
he said to me, he said, "Hey, you should go check out this library. Go in there." And I was like, "All right, let's go." And he goes, "That's okay. I'm gonna wait right here." And he waited at the threshold. And I'm like, "You're not gonna come in here with me? Show me what the place is about?" He goes, "No, no, no. You go ahead." And I was like, "Okay." So I walk in there, and man, like 30 seconds walking into that room, I got the heebie-jeebies. It was like, especially this one part by this bookshelf. It was like Now, I'm not saying I'm not some empath, psychic, or whatever. All I know is I got the extreme heebie-jeebies walking in the side of the library, and I was like, whatever is
Now,
in here, I don't know. I
when
don't
you
want no part
say
of.
heebie-jeebie, I'm just gonna curious. I want to break it down a little bit.
Yeah,
When you say that, do you mean you got like overwhelming sadness? Did you feel like the skin, like the hair on the back of your neck
I
stood
got
up?
scared. I got
Okay, so
scared.
like you were physically scared
Like
of something.
I didn't have a good feeling. It was like a
Okay.
bad feeling. So like, and it's like I felt like I wasn't alone. Like
Hmm.
it felt like someone was there with me, but I knew no one was. And I think that's what freaked me out so much. And the lights were on. The lights were totally on. So it's like I was that's what's so confusing. So I didn't stay very long. And I wanted to be in that room because it looked cool, like all the cool medical stuff. And then
Hmm.
I see a settee of some sort in the off in the corner by a plant or something, some fancy chair. And then that was it. And then I skedaddled out of there. And I told him, I was like, what's up with that room, man? Because that room like creeped me out. And he's like, this is why I didn't want to say. He didn't say anything to me on purpose. And he's like, okay, so that room, a couple of people have experienced some ghost hauntings in that room. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I didn't tell me. It's like, what the hell? And so he said that there was someone sitting in that chair by that plant, and one of the staff members felt someone or something patting them or stroking them on the head, and they freaked the fuck out and like threw the
Right.
book in the
Yeah.
air and took off. And it was more than one occasion that happened in that room. So he told me that, and I was like, that's really interesting because you just took me to that other floor, and I didn't feel anything. It was like a normal floor to me, but it looked really scary. But it didn't. I don't know. It was just so weird. So that was my experience with that hospital. It was pretty cool. I was like, I don't know. And then by the way, uh, it was early in the morning when he got off work. We went out to breakfast, and I got breakfast, and he paid for breakfast because I got lunch or whatever, and I got some over easy eggs, and I couldn't eat them. Couldn't eat them. And he was like, "Why can't you eat your eggs?" And I was like, I just can't. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. And he goes, "Oh, that guy's eyes." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, sorry,
Oh.
I can't eat these eggs. I'm so
Oh.
sorry." I'm like, and I could not eat it. It was so, and I'm not really grossed out a lot by stuff like that, but that I was able to watch that whole eyes get taken out. But when it came to breakfast, I was like,
Yeah.
so yeah. But
Yeah.
that's my story.
So
That's
in the
what
brief
happened.
history I did on this hospital, um, it was a tuberculosis locus hospital, right? Tuberculosis. I can't
Yeah,
say
that's
it.
crazy.
I've been drinking.
Tuberculosis
There you go.
sanatorium.
Yeah.
Sanitarium.
So
Yeah.
those typically what you see in most haunted places that had that going on, there is a lot of people who die very painfully, very quickly,
Mm,
or in a suspended state where they don't know that they have passed, and that could possibly be what was in that library just wandering around. If
right.
somebody is being touched, it's more than likely intelligent, right? So it was
Right.
more than likely not just a reoccurring memory happening through that place. It's more than likely a spirit that's able to travel through that hospital.
Oh,
um
wow. Nothing
yeah,
touched me.
no, but the
Oh
person you said was
man.
sitting in that chair in that corner.
Yeah.
uh the reason I asked when you were talking about the old part and the new part is because the hospital itself was from, let me see if I want to make sure I have my number correct.
Wasn't it like 18 something?
Yeah, so it opened in 1890.
That's
So
wow.
yeah, so the hospital has seen a lot of renovations over the years, I'm sure. There's newer
Oh,
wings.
right.
I also saw some pictures where kind of some of it was looking a little uh like it's falling apart, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's parts of that building that have not been kept up as well as others.
Yeah.
Maybe they possibly came through before you were there and did renovations, which for some reason wakes up the spirits no matter what. Like you see those
Oh,
renovation
yeah.
projects always bring stuff to life. But more than likely what you were experiencing in that library is going to just be a spirit that's like, hey, I'm still here. Notice me. I'm here. I can't leave because I don't know
Right.
what's trapping me here. And if it was malicious, you would not have been pat. If it's strong enough to be able to touch you and you feel it, like not you, obviously you said you didn't feel it, but the other person who was there,
No.
if they were able to feel it, that is an energy that's gained a lot of it's a spirit that's gained a lot of energy, probably from the amount of death that happens in hospitals in life.
Right.
We get energy from death in life. our spirits, our souls are going to recharge themselves. So when a hospital, that's why hospitals are more haunted. Like, have you seen the videos? There's videos on YouTube and TikTok and stuff where the gurneys in hospitals will just like be rolling down the hallway, and there's like for
Oh
no reason
yeah.
at all. That's the
Yeah.
spirits have an ability to collect more energy in those spaces. And I would bet that's probably what was happening in that library. When you walked in, there was just a spirit hanging out in the place that feels the most comfortable, whether that library is newer and that's a room, maybe it was used to be a room that that person occupied.
Maybe.
Whether it's part of the restoration project from the old building, like anything could have triggered
Yeah.
it. So
It was
if you're
just
having
like,
a creepy feeling of it staring at you, it's more than likely a entity that has the ability to freely move around and kind
that's
of
crazy, man.
show its presence to you. And it might have just been saying, hey, get out of my room. I don't want you here. Like, just leave.
Right. I mean, it wasn't like this evil dark force I felt, or I don't know. It just I didn't feel like yeah, I didn't feel welcome.
Right.
It was like, it was weird. It was just like, I think I'm gonna go now because I don't think I should be here. It was like, I
Right.
felt that, like, I'm like, and I'm not alone. And I know I should be alone right now. So that just, it creeped me out. And I do remember he took me down to the basement by the furnace, and he said that some people had seen a nun in that room, apparently.
Was
And it was like
there, is it a Catholic hospital? Well, this says that the Sisters of Charity of Cincinnati, Ohio, assumed ownership of the hospital at some point.
Oh, no way.
So I don't know. Yeah, this is our
But was it
same
back then?
hospital.
Hmm.
It was still the Penrose Hospital, but it looks like it might have been purchased by a Catholic group.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Oh, wow, that's creepy. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean that's possible. I'd have to do some more digging on that and whether or not that was the case. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean, a
that's
lot
neat.
of hospitals, they would also have clergy of some sort on staff or around to help people when they're dying so that they'd have
Yeah.
their final closure. Some of them keep like every religion's people on standby in case they need to do like whatever their version of the last rite with their religion would be. So it's possible that there could have been a nun down there. It's possible that
Wow.
the nun could have had tuberculosis and they need to put her in the hospital.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Or, you
Mm.
never know what could be the case there.
Right? Yeah, it was really
Um,
cool. Just it was quite a cool experience. It was pretty neat. Just checking it
hmm.
out. Yeah, it was really cool.
So
I
that's
know,
the
and I think
only,
what was that?
I was gonna say, that's the only time you've been there. Or did you ever go back for anything?
I never went back. That was the only time I went
Okay.
there. Just to like say, hey, here's a McDonald's. And then he like showed me around the hospital. And yeah, and that was it. It was just quite, I think because of that, is after experiencing that, I always knew, like, I wish I could have gotten into the undertaking business, because it was like found it so fascinating,
Right.
and I never got into it. It's just, you need like, the place I wanted to go to that I looked into, you need like 2 years of a biology degree in associates, like of a community college, and then 3 years in the actual mortuary science school. It's a lot of
Mm.
schooling and a lot of like medical science stuff you got to know, like kind of like being a doctor, I guess, or something. And then the school also teaches you like how to sculpt. I mean, because if somebody blows his head off, you got to put his head back together.
Right.
So what they do is, I looked into it, they'll give you a picture, I guess, and they'll give you like a block of clay or something,
Hmm.
or wax, and you have to mold it back with the skull
Oh,
and
interesting.
mold it with the pit. Yeah, that looked like such a cool school, and I was like, man, I wish I could have. I have kids, and I can't. I mean,
Right. That's a lot when
it's
your
a
kids are
little,
little.
it's hard, and it sucks because like before I had my kids, I looked into this school, and I never did it, and I'm like, man, don't get me wrong, I love my kids, but it would have been, but if I had not have kids, I think I would have tried to go down that path, but I don't know.
Well,
Instead,
it's
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 I
hard
like
to play the
sculpting with
what if
fondant
game.
instead.
Right.
Like,
Right.
like I like sculpting with fondant instead. I'm like cake decorating. I think because I went that route because that's how I met you. Cake
Right.
decorating. Yeah. The
Yes.
bakery, and
From bakeries to ghosts.
yes, I know. Oh man. That was crazy. Just but yeah, really, really cool hospital. I thought it was a really neat
Yeah.
thing that I got to experience, and
Well,
it was
what's
really
weird is
cool.
hospitals creep me out in general. Like almost all hospitals. I've never walked into a hospital that I've liked,
They
like that
do,
I felt
right? Like
comfortable
they
in.
are kind of weird. Like, yeah, they yeah, I don't know. They always smell weird, like old people
Mhm.
and
Well,
medicine
the
and
hospital I had my oldest daughter in, I felt really comfortable in that hospital, but I think it's because it was literally for women and babies and birthing.
oh,
It was not a hospital where like a lot, like they had some cancer patients there, but most of them didn't stay. They like went out to other places unless
right.
it was like for women, feminine issues. I don't even know how to word
Oh
that,
man.
but they didn't keep a lot of people there. And
Yeah.
but when you go into other hospitals, like other hospitals that I have been in, even the hospital I had my second daughter at, I did not feel comfortable the whole time. I didn't want to be in there. I just had like this weird, like heavy presence. And I think a lot of that comes from the amount of death and birth that happens in
Right.
these buildings and the energy it collects.
I've
They're like
never been to the
supercharged.
hospital. I've never been admitted to a hospital unless I was having a baby. Like
Right.
that's the only time I've been admitted. I've never broken a bone and had to spend the night from like an infection. I've never had that, thank God, But when I was in when I had my first daughter, she's 13 now, but in 2009 I had her at the Tripler Hospital in Hawaii. And everyone, it's like the big pink hospital, looks like the color Pepto-Bismol, and it's
Mm.
huge, sits on the ocean. It's a beautiful, cool, big looking, cool building. And God, I remember I wanted breakfast, and my mom told me this trick. She said when they give you the piece of paper, because back then, now you call on a phone and you order your food like room service in the hospital. Back then, when I feel so old, they gave me a sheet of paper and they had a menu, and it was a but they printed off a printer, and they had ham and eggs, pancakes with syrup, how many pieces of bacon, and I had to circle the number of how many I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom told me, she said, if you ever get that menu, you put times 2 next to it and they'll give you double the order. And I
Right.
was like, really? So I did that. I got my sheet when it came for breakfast the next morning and I put times 2 next to, I was just next to the pancakes. I wanted buttery, syrupy pancakes with bacon. I was craving that the next day. And I did times 2. And instead, the next day, I got times 2 ham and eggs. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
I did not want that.
let down.
I know it worked. I got double, but it was like really, really cool. And that was a really cool hospital. And then my other kids, when I had my second at Central DuPage in Winfield, Illinois, near the Chicago suburbs, that place was like a 5-star hotel, man. Let me tell you, that place was awesome. And
Yeah.
dude, their food was so good. Oh my God. After being in that hospital, I will, oh, now forever, when I eat salmon, I make it honey glazed because they have this honey glazed salmon they served, and it was so damn good. So damn good.
We
Man.
went a little far off topic from ghosts.
Sorry, we're
to
talking about hospital food.
hospital.
I know. Sorry, God, yeah, just the food, but no
Yeah.
ghosts, just good
Yeah.
food.
Well, I don't know what I've visited a lot of hospitals and visited a lot of people who've been sick. I've not been admitted to a hospital either, other than pregnancy. I can give you a full report in 2 months when I am admitted for surgery,
Yeah,
but and I'm in a completely different ward that has nothing to do with babies. But
right. It's
yeah, I
interesting
know it's
about
just always creepy.
like this topic that we're doing. I'm glad we're doing this because talking about like spirits and stuff like that, it's like I I know there's that big question like are they real? Are they around? I mean, and
Yes.
it's just like everybody here on earth, we're like, can that family member, can we talk to them? Do they see us? It's like we don't know. And who is a fake and who's not when you go talk to somebody about seeing a ghost or talking to them, relative,
Yeah, that's if you don't have the ability to kind of suss out who is actually legit and who's not.
Right.
Like most people, they don't have the general ability. They just want to see a loved one and they get caught up. And I did this on my other channel. I talked about the soup the well, I can't remember what it is, the spiritualist movement. I did the history of the spiritualist movement on my other channel. And which this video will also appear on that channel. So this supernatural happy hour. I did the video for that, and the amount of frauds who come out of the woodwork just to screw people out of their money because they know they can play off
Right.
of emotion. They can say, no, I've
Oh,
definitely heard from
totally.
your great grandmother. She wanted me to talk to you. And then they get all excited and they'll start saying things like, well, she had brown hair, right? And they'll be like, yeah, well, yeah, her hair was kind of brown. And they're like, yes, like kind of brown with a little bit of, and they'll like start guessing and they'll start, it's
Yeah.
like playing the great game of Guess Who. Like they literally can go through and play off your emotions and see you can never hold a poker face when
Does
you're
your
talking
person
about a loved
have
one.
glasses?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot of people who can be fraudulent out there, but there's also levels of clairvoyancy. There's an ability to have people on all ends of the spectrum. There can be the people who can walk into a building and just kind of sense things like what you were sensing in that room. They can walk in and
Right.
they have that sense, but they just don't know why the hair's standing up on the back of their neck and they feel creepy. And then you go all the way to the extreme of the people who can literally go sit for a few minutes and have the ability to leave and go to another side, another realm, another place where they can connect.
Right. Like that lady that I follow on TikTok.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It all depends on if you're going to be trusting of these people and whether or not they can back it up. Um, I mean, we've talked a little bit about this when you started telling me about that lady. There's so many, there's a lot of things that I have
Right.
experienced that tell me 100% that other side exists. Like I will stake my life on the fact that the other side exists because I have seen it. I have experienced it. I have felt it and I've talked about it on that other channel. But
Yeah.
this isn't the only realm of presence we sit in my honest opinion, from what I've experienced. And there are some people who I believe to be absolute frauds. And I feel like I can sense it. Like when there's a fraud around, I can sense it. And I can sense when there's legit people because I get this weird vibrational thing,
Yeah.
which I was trying to explain to you. It just makes me feel all
Yeah.
kinds of strange. But I think the big issue is the people out there who want to screw you out of your money, who say, "Oh no,
It's
I'm legit.
sad because it's
I
like there's
ghost
just more
hunt. I'm
people over
legit."
that genuinely want to speak or see or know how that relative is doing, you know. And that woman on TikTok, she goes by the name of Rowan Tree Groves. And I just saw her on my feed one day and I was like, what's this lady about? And
Yeah.
apparently she used to work for the police department a long time ago and help missing people. And I was like, well, that's cool. All
Yeah.
right. You know, that's she doesn't seem like some phony baloney just like out to like
No,
make
and
money and
I didn't feel that from her, which I told you. I have this weird like low
yeah.
vibrational thing just watching her channel. I don't know what it is, but it makes me feel really weird. But we're not going to call out the other channel. You sent me another channel and I watched 2 seconds of his video. I was like, "Nope." He's phony as
No,
heck.
yeah.
I don't buy
It
it. I
was
don't
like
believe it. Nope. Sorry. So yeah,
okay.
so there's levels of it, but there's also people who just are out to scam you. And
Yeah.
so some of these guided ghost tours you go on, there's a lot of people like that who will do guided ghost tours and are not legit at all. Several people
Right.
I've met who claim, "Oh yeah, I can read your tea leaves. I can read your tarot. I can read." They can't. They can't do none of that.
Worth it.
The legitimacy, like I do believe that a lot of it is legit, but I think there's a lot of fraudsters out there who will make money, a quick dime off of being fraudulent just because they can sound convincing and they
Yeah.
have the charisma to sound convincing.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
sure if we
Complete.
got off
That's
on a
good.
tangent there, but I'm very passionate about
No,
that.
no, no. I know. Like with the like you said, like when they have the charisma to rip people off, you know, that to
Mhm.
do it, you know. But it's like, yeah, it's crazy. But that woman, I liked watching her TikToks. It was kind of cool because I feel like she was genuine and like you said, she's respectful. Because she did that
Right.
one on Leslie Jordan and he had
See,
just died, and she's like, I'm gonna wait a little
yeah,
bit.
that I have a little bit more skepticism over because I don't understand like we were talking about the one guy who has I talked to the queen. No, you didn't. I'm sorry. You just didn't. You did not go into the afterlife 2 days after the queen died and said I would like an audience with the queen. No.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I'm no. So there's some of them that I'm like, no, I don't think those celebrities are actually talking to you. Prove me wrong, but
No.
I don't think they are. I think you know enough about their life from tabloids to make people believe
Yeah,
that
she
you're
doesn't
talking to
do really
them.
any celebrities. She most of her videos, like she has a few of them, but most of them were just like talking about how to like handle like a death, and she like
Right.
this, you know, what the spirit is like, and which is kind of cool. So she's
Right.
not all about selling it, you know.
No, she feels different. Something feels different. I would like to have a conversation with her. Not I don't want to talk to anybody on the other side because I honestly can do that myself and I choose not to. But I think it'd be interesting to have a talk with her about other
Yeah,
things. Like there's some other things I would like to know from her experience because she seems like she has a lot of experience.
right.
So,
It was cool. I was watching a video she did about Mac Miller. And I don't know if you know who that is. I didn't know he was. He was some musician that died recently, like the last few months ago or something.
mhm.
And he OD'd by accident. It was an accidental overdose. And she tapped into the afterlife to check on him. And she said all she got from him was him saying it was a mistake. It was a mistake. Like he knew he messed up.
Right.
It's like I always wondered that people that cross over that have OD'd, are they on the other side like shit?
Well, probably because they're expecting to get a fun high, not die. It's not
Yeah,
a
like
purposeful
damn it.
suicide.
Like Heath Ledger, I'm sure he was like, damn it, I mean, because he had a kid and a wife, and that
Yeah.
sucks. But it's like, yeah. And then Aaron Carter just died, which I know I wasn't a fan of his really, but that still sucks. He had a lot of substance abuse problems too.
Well,
Some
I mean,
people,
a lot
yeah,
of these people with the substance abuse issues, they also have the mental health issues, which on the other side, I believe we get complete clarity when we get over there. Like it's like
yeah,
we tune into the full spectrum of all thought, and then we can understand what was really going on. And I'm sure a lot of
hmm
them have these moments like, I'm happy and free here. Maybe they wanted to stay in this side of things, but over there, they feel free. So,
yeah,
because they've lifted literally the cloud that's sat in their head for so long is gone.
right,
I don't know. That's speculation because I don't know. I've not died. So
yeah. You want
obviously
to,
all right. So that is going to be the conclusion of this episode tonight, where we've talked a little bit about some history of the Penrose Hospital and Lisa's possible ghost encounter at the Penrose Hospital. So we are going to end this episode for tonight. And thank you so much for joining us. If you liked these ghost stories and you would like to hear some more ghost stories, trust me, I have a lot, or some haunted history. Leave a comment. Let us know. Hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time. Bye.
bye guys.